What do you need?
Nothing.
You need me to adjust anything? No.
I'm live.
You're live?
Yeah.
You're live? You're live? What up YouTube? What up Facebook? Justin's gonna go first. You ready? Go ahead, Jacob. We're waiting on Mr. Parker.
You gotta do a carpool with it too.
Just put a mark on the floor where you stand up.
We should. That's a good idea.
You good right now?
I'll use this rope.
Okay.
Talk to me.
Justin, stop.
I'm dead center on mine. Where am I at on yours?
I don't see you on yours yet. Hang on.
Where am I at on the Facebook one?
I see you from the crotch all the way up.
Come on in, my
Beautiful.
friend.
Yeah, that's what it is.
There's your mark right there.
Here.
Stay around
Thank
that
you
way.
for coming.
Here.
Thank you for coming.
That's our mark.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
We got a mark and
Yeah.
everything.
You ready?
We're ready,
All right,
sir.
all right. Hey, thank you guys for coming again. We've got another distinguished group, and we've got a lot of repeat anglers, and we appreciate that. We've got at least one young man here, maybe a couple young men. Couple young men and a few older men like me, but we really appreciate you coming, and we're excited about continuing these every other Friday night. We're going to talk about new things every week, including some new lures, and we got even a younger participant. We got a little kitty cat here tonight to listen and play with that lure. So thank you again for coming. If your friends want to come, it's free, and these guys don't hold back. They share anything that they know, and they'll answer your questions until you're tired of asking them, okay? Thank y'all very much for coming, okay? Here's Justin Crawford, and after Justin, we got Billy. Dr. Billy is up, okay? Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Okay.
Thank you guys very much for coming out. I'm going to talk to you guys about how I've been catching my fish the last 5 to 6 days. A lot of graphing still. My fish have been offshore, and I've got about 5 or 6 groups of fish right now offshore. Half and half. I'm fishing road beds, and I'm also fishing pond dams. And once I pull up on my pond dam or my road bed of choice, and I'll bounce, throughout the day, finding those right schools at the right time. Once I pull up on those pond dams, first thing I'm doing when I'm graphing is figuring out what depth my fish and my bait are going to be on those drop-offs of the pond dam. And usually on the back side, away from where the pond was at, is where your more wood will be stacked up. And those fish seem to be stacked up in that wood, buried up on the bottoms, or suspended maybe a foot to 3 foot on those stumps during the daytime on the shady sides. And how I've been catching them, I've been throwing the shaky head a lot. And with my shaky head, I'm running a 5/8 ounce shaky head, and it's a 5/0 hook. And I'm using it on, let's see, let me get my poles real quick. Should have those ready. I'm throwing my shaky head on a 7:3:1 gear ratio reel on 20-pound yellow label Invizdex Seaguar. And it's going to be on a 7'8" medium heavy action rod with a fast tip. And my go-to bait is the Lake Fork Trophy needle lure, 9-inch needle lure, and I'm dipping it in the Chartreuse Glow. And that Chartreuse Glow, some people, I'm a huge believer in it, whether I'm flipping, whether I'm using jig trailers, whether it be drop shot, shaky head, whatever, I'm always using this. In the wintertime, I usually use blue, and in the summertime, I usually use the red or the yellow. Most of the time, yellow, though. And then those fish that I'm not getting to bite on the shaky head, I'm using a swim jig. But how I'm using this shaky head is I'm getting on top of these pond dams, and I'm chunking down the drop-off, and I'm focusing on anywhere between 12 and 18 foot of water. And like I said, when I pull up on it, I'll graph. And if my fish are sitting in 14 foot of water, then I'm going to back up in probably 4 to 5 foot of water and cast out to maybe 20 and drag up that area where I'm seeing them sitting. And I want to drag as slow as I possibly can, hitting as much stuff from the bottom. and focusing really on timber or river channel swings. My go-to lately has been timber, big timber. It can't be smaller timber. It needs to be, 1.5 to 2 foot in diameter on the back sides of these dams. And that's usually where they're staged up right now in the daytime. Like I said, on the shady sides of the log. And if they're not biting that shaky head, I've been getting a swim jig, a Santone swim jig, and it's 7/16 ounce. And I'm putting a willow blade on the back of it as a trailer. And I'm just throwing it the same way I would the shaky head, but I'm bouncing it up and down and trying to get those fish that are suspended in that 3 foot area that don't want to bite to react on this. And he's kind of like a spoon, but I don't really hop it as much. I'll throw it down there and I'll hit the bottom. 1, 2 little strokes and then small little pops. Reel in my slack, let it hit the bottom. 1, 2 small pops, let it hit the bottom. And I work it in pretty slow.
How do you put that blade on that jig?
Yes, sir. It's I'll show you right here. Santone jig's my go-to, and the Sloppy Joe has been the color that's been producing for me the most. And what I'll do is it's pretty much just like it would come on the spinner bait, and all you're going to do, you're going to keep that split ring that's on the swivel on the backside, and just run that swivel through your hook. And then just like you would use a piece of plastic for a trailer hook, you would do the same thing for this. It's just, you can use pretty much anything that'll stay on there. I mean, I'll find pieces of plastic around my boat that I'll use as long as it'll stay on there and keep that blade on there. But they sell actual pieces of plastic for trailer hooks and trailer baits, stuff like that.
Show that to the camera.
Yes, sir. It'll just be the split ring that you would take right off your spinnerbait, and you're just going to put it right over your hook like that, and then you put a piece of plastic over your hook to keep this from falling off. Did I get it in the camera?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Like I said, I'm just letting this kind of stroking it off the bottom, bottom contact for sure so I hear it, and then when it's falling back down, that flash around the trees is really getting them. You guys have any questions about this technique or any of the other ones?
Did you say what size shaky head?
Oh yes sir, it's I'm using two different sizes. Whenever I'm 12 foot or deeper, and I'm using the Excite, it's a 5/8 ounce for the deeper water, and a big 5/0 hook. And then when I'm a little bit shallower water, I'll trim that 9-inch tail down. I'll bite about 2 inches off of it, and I'll throw it a little bit smaller, which is the 1/4 ounce shaky head, and it comes with a 4/0 hook. Yes, sir.
Is it difficult to side image? Are you just using down imaging on those pond dams?
No, sir. When I first find the pond dams, before I have my customers on the boat, I definitely side image to find those stumps and those sticks, and then from there I'll locate where my schools of bait are. And when I find that depth, most of the time, unless it's windy, I really like to pull my boat up on, like I said, the shallower part and cast out. But most of the time, to cover more ground, whenever I'm hitting a lot of spots, is I'll put my boat right where that depth is. So if my fish are sitting in 12 foot and my bait's sitting in 12 foot, I'll actually sit right on top of them in that depth to where we can cast off the sides and work all the 12 foot, all the 14 foot, instead of just dragging through in certain spots and depths that they're at.
But if there's no bait fish, you just move on.
Yes, sir. I mean, if I see,
It has to be there.
I mean, it doesn't have to be there. If you see bass there and there's not any bait around, you can try to trigger them up, fire them up with that shaky head.
Around the stumps.
Yes, sir. Around the stumps. But bait fish there, I mean, yeah, that definitely helps. But most of the time, they're stacked up on top of those pond dams and road beds. And at nighttime, evening times, they're coming up and feeding on top of them. But the technique I'm talking about is during the day. Whenever it's really hot and really brutal and it's a grind, they're sitting on those stumps and they're nosed in on the shade. They're suspended, like I said, from the bottom to about 3 or 4 foot off, and they're nosed in. Yes, sir.
Like midday, is that essentially what you're talking about? Or
Yes, sir, from
morning or late morning?
12 o'clock to about 4 o'clock. And there's definitely active fish, that are suspended and chasing, shad and all that. But my bigger fish here lately have been coming off those trees and off that timber that are sitting off the backsides of road beds and the backsides of pond dams. And I got about 2 or 3 road beds that are actually, I'm only fishing in 6 to 10 foot of water is where the drop offs are on each side, and that shaky head's producing real well for us. But there's also good timber on each drop off. So, any other questions, guys? How long do I got? Keep going.
Give it to you ready?
Yes,
Ready
sir.
quick?
I'm also going to talk. I've been running a lot of nighttime trips as well here lately. That's what I have after this, and we've been focusing nighttime on bridges, bridge pylons, and the rocks around the bridges, and a lot of brush piles that I put out, and also other local guys that have put out. And we're running big 3/4 ounce and 1 ounce Santone jigs, and then also the 1 ounce Oldham spinnerbait that I had brought in the last seminar that I did for you guys. And we're throwing it around the water columns, and we'll start out working them real slow, and we'll just have a steady retrieve. And if it's a slower bite, then we're working them like spoons. We're letting them drop down those pylons, and we're popping them up. We're letting them drop down, reel up our slack, pop it, That's how we're working the spinnerbait around the bridge pylons. And then the 3/4 ounce jig at nighttime is also working Santone, peanut butter and jelly.
Was the blade on?
No, sir, no blade on it. I'm using a Grande Bass Mega Crawl for my trailer. Any questions, guys, at all? Nope. Thank you guys very much.
What was the name of those spinnerbaits you had here the last time?
The Oldhams, yes, sir.
What was the name of them?
Oldham,
Oldham.
yes, sir.
Oldham.
Oldham.
O-L-D-H-A-M. What rod are you throwing that shady head on? What size?
It's 7'6".
Medium heavy?
Yes, sir. Medium heavy, fast action tip.
Light line or what?
No, sir. 20 pound because I'm throwing it around that wood.
I got you.
Yes, sir. Seaguar fluorocarbon.
What brand shaky head was it?
Excite.
Excite.
Yes, sir. 5/8 ounce. 5/0 hook.
Is the owner a good one? I mean, is it any better than any of the rest of them?
No, sir. I prefer. There's a lot of good brands out there. Young makes a good, cheaper brand. Owner has good ones. Santone has good ones. The Excite, it's an older one, and I just like the way that head sits, the way it's shaped, and it's got a really big hook because I like to use the longer trick worms.
Is it a football head?
No, sir. It's kind of like a
Spinning giant head.
yeah. It's a round stand up. And on the different blades, honestly, this is about the only size I've been going with, because that's about the size bait fish they're chasing. Unless you can find those big gizzard shad in the evening time.
Just silver?
I use gold. Gold's been my go-to actually here lately, but the silver one will work as well.
What size is that?
It's about a 4 number 4. Well,
Where are you getting it at?
honestly, I'm taking them off old broken spinnerbaits that I have. The bass have straightened out.
You know that guy over there at, who's that guy at Eastville? Lockhart Lures?
Yes, sir.
Lockhart, yeah.
Yeah, I bet you can load up on him over there. He's selling. I know he'd have them.
Any other questions, guys?
And when you're fishing that brush pile, would a green light be any disadvantage? Like if you drop the green light to trigger some big fish in there?
Yes, sir. You can. One thing with the green light is it's not one of those things you can come up, put it down, and expect fish to come in. It takes a good while to draw them in. And there's a lot of green lights around the lake if you take the time to go find them. And the key to fishing those green lights for me is the outskirts of them. You don't want to fish in the middle of those green lights. You can catch a lot of sandies and catfish, gar, all of that up in the middle of them. But those bigger bass are anywhere between a foot in the light to 5 or 6 foot out in the shadows. And
Especially if you find a stump on the edge of that.
right, yes, sir. And I use yellow, like the crappie line that you see that's yellow, like bright yellow. That's the type of line that I'll use around those lights. And I use real light, like 6 to 8 pound tests.
Billy was talking on YouTube about flutter spoons, running them on the edge of that stuff.
Yes, sir.
You do a lot of that.
I will, yes, sir. I like the Rapala mirror lure with, like I said, that 6 to 8 pound yellow line, and I'll use it on real light tackle and just kind of jerk it around the outskirts of the light.
When you say green light, you're talking about a light that's subsurface?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You'll find them, and you'll find them all around the lake. They'll be anywhere. They'll be be right underneath people's boat docks, or some people have them out, you know, right where that wall is at, away from their boat docks.
It's gotten pretty popular, there's a lot of lights on this lake.
I've only, I ain't been out there much, just only in a kayak.
So there's a bunch of lights.
If you can find the right
Especially
lights, you can
back
catch
on the
any
Mustang.
species. I mean, you can literally catch every species that's in the lake under those lights at night.
You get a little Mustang, go under the bridge in the back, and you can fish all the way down that thing, dude.
All right, thank you, Justin.
Sir.
Tell you what, guys, let's yeah, give Justin a hand. That's what I love about, you know, the situation in Lake Fork and all the guides we have. I mean, that deal was this deal right here. Hey, I can take something from that, right? Like that's something I've never
Oh,
used.
that's pretty cool.
That's a pretty slick deal right there. So
I'm
that's
gonna
just
do
what's really cool about Lake Fork and the knowledge. You know, that was the whole premise behind starting the YouTube channel, and really the premise behind starting that Guides Network series is that, man, there's just so much knowledge, and everybody's out there trying to figure out a new way to catch them because of how pressured these fish are, and that's a really neat deal. So thanks for showing us that, bud.
Yes, sir.
All right, couple things to start off tonight. Couple new baits to show y'all. And you guys that have been watching the YouTube channel have seen me talk about this buzzbait. Mr. Ronnie has them here. He just got a shipment in this week. $6.99, good price, and it's my favorite buzzbait I've ever found. I mean, it makes so much noise. It is so loud, and it has drawn some really big strikes right off the bat the first couple weeks I've had it in my hands. So definitely check those out. Maybe pick you up a couple of those. They're very, very good buzzbaits. Retail for $6.99, like I said. Then this is a new.
Hold up. Can you show them how to use that? Because you can use it two different ways.
What's that?
That buzzbait.
On the buzzbait? Yeah.
Go ahead, you can open it.
Okay.
You put a trailer.
Well, we're giving this one away at the end of the night, by the way. I'm not going to tell you how you can win it, but we are giving this away. So we're going to go ahead and give you an open package.
You stick a trailer on it or not?
Yes, you do need a trailer hook. I do use a trailer hook, and I'll show you why.
I lost two yesterday in 10 minutes.
Huh?
So I lost two new brand new ones in 10 minutes yesterday.
Oh, did? How's it going, fellas?
Good.
Good. Alright, so on this buzzbait here, the idea is y'all can hear that thing hitting the head every once in a while, it'll stop. But when you have the water pulling on it, it just keeps churning because that extra weight of that water, it just goes along and it goes tink, 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 tink. These guys are with me this morning out there. How loud is it?
Yeah, it's loud.
It's loud. It is very loud. So you can run it like that. It comes set out of the package to hit that head at just about the right angle. Now, after you catch a fish, if you get hung up, you'll bend this wire out, right? And then it just, you can use it like a regular buzzbait. If you don't want all that noise, you want just a normal buzzbait, you've got it good. And if you rough that rivet up after you've been using it for a while, it'll start squealing. It'll be just a normal buzzbait and very good at that. But a lot of times that fish will straighten that out. You got to adjust it. So pinch that head down, almost. Pinch it down a little bit more. Now we're back in business. And sometimes you can go too far and that blade will get stuck and that whole buzzbait will spin. So you do have to mess with this and adjust it every so often to get it to run right, especially after a fish catch. But if you look, because of how far this blade sits back and how close it is in relation to that hook, that's not a real big bite between that blade and that hook right there. So I do absolutely 100% of the time use a trailer hook on that buzzbait. Alright, so this is a new bait that I actually just got introduced to. I haven't even had a chance to throw it yet. That's how new it is. This is called a Poppin' P. This is going to win the finals. This bait is going to win the finals on Major League Fishing. The one that hasn't aired yet that's coming up, this is the winning bait in the finals right here. Tackle Warehouse got however many hundred of them. Several hundred of these got sent to Tackle Warehouse and they sold out in like, was it a day, Ronnie?
Yeah.
One day they sold out of them. So the buzz is hot on this bait. What it is a hand carved, this is a custom airbrushed hand carved balsa lure. You guys from the old school know how awesome some of those old balsa lures were. This has a whopper plopper style prop on the back of it. It will squeal like a buzzbait and it will gurgle like a whopper plopper. I've seen video of it in the water. It makes a lot of really cool noise. I'm really excited about this bait. Another new bait, just another thing that Ronnie's doing here, getting new baits in, very innovative, very custom. This one's high now, it retails $22.99, but that's a custom hand-painted, hand-carved deal. That's what you're gonna get. So give everybody a shot of that up there. The Poppin' P at LFT. It's a pretty good deal right there. That's how we roll, boys. All right, so a couple new things, always exciting around here. Always new stuff coming in the door, so you always got to be coming in and stopping by, checking it out. Check out the website when you can. Now let's get into what we're going to talk about tonight and how we're catching fish. For me right now, most day in, day out, consistent bait over the last week or so has been old trusty, old chatterbait, right, with a live magic shad, also known as a chatterbait trailer on the back of it. I'm using the small 3.5 inch chatterbait, get a little bit more compact profile. It is summertime. The water's getting up around 90 degrees now. We're finally getting that real hot water temp. And even those grass fish are getting a little bit finicky about how they bite. So I want a short, compact bait. Green pumpkin's been the best color. I always tell you guys 3/8 ounce, 3/8 ounce, 3/8 ounce, right? Because it stays above the grass better. And that's true. And a lot of times still, like today, this gentleman and his son fished with me today, and we used 3/8 ounce and try to keep it above the grass. There are times, however, this is the one time when I do vary. I normally throw a 3/8 ounce chatterbait, I throw it on a 7.2 medium heavy rod, and I throw it on 17-pound fluorocarbon, and I try to just tickle the top of that grass and not get down in it. Try to just, as I'm reeling it, just barely feel that grass and then give it a little tug. And then barely feel that grass, give it a little tug. There is times during the summer, everything moves faster in the fish's world in the summer. The hotter it gets, faster their metabolism works, faster the bait fish move, and they move and everything else. So what I'll do is go to a 1/2 ounce. I'll put it on a middle 7-foot range heavy action rod. You can even go to a 7-foot heavy. 7-foot heavy is a very good rod for this as well. I like to throw it on 7.4 heavy, but 7-foot heavy is just fine. 50-pound braid on that 1/2 ounce chatterbait. And what I'll do is I'll throw it, when I go fishing it like that, I'll throw it long cast, and when I immediately hits the water, I don't engage the reel. Let it sink, get down in the grass, and then with that 7.4 heavy or that 7-foot heavy, that heavy action rod, and that 50-pound braid, I'll rip it to get it started, and then I'll slow down until I let it bog up again, and then violent rip. So that bait's swimming along, getting caught up in that grass, and it's stuck, and it's shooting out of there real fast. So it all of a sudden gets that fish's attention. And if he was looking at it when it went in, he's going to chase it, and then it's going to stop. And he's going to either eat it or leave. It's creating a reaction. Creating a fast, hurried movement, which is natural to a fish's environment in the summer, and it creates a reaction bite. So it's a little different spin on the chatterbait, but today, they were eating it on a steady retrieve with the 3/8 ounce the way we always do it, so that's how we fished it. So, just a little something. It's one of the most dependable big fish baits that you can throw day in, day out throughout the year. I've often said that if I had one bait to fish with all year long, it would probably be a stick bait. Everybody knows, Cinco, Smash Stick, Yum Dinger, Hyper Stick, just 5-inch stick bait is just a fish catching machine, right? I think I've changed my mind. A chatterbait with a live magic shad on the back, hey, I feel like I can catch fish every single day, no matter the weather, no matter the conditions. And on top of that, this will catch the biggest of big, 10 plus. It'll catch giants.
With the 50-pound braid all the time?
Not all the time. Not all the time. Like I said, today we're fishing on the 17-pound fluorocarbon, the 7.2 medium heavy, with just a steady retrieve where you're just going to try and tickle the grass. The normal, standard chatterbait retrieve. This deal with the heavy action rod and 50-pound braid is more of a deal where it's a violent ripping action. You gotta have your old shoulder joints loosen up before you start doing that all day because it'll wear on you. But that's the deal that I do try in the summertime when they're being really finicky and I can't get them to bite. I try to force them to react that way.
Even with no wind, you fish it?
Yes, yeah. A chatterbait is one of the few moving baits that I have confidence in without wind. And there's not many of them out there that I do, but a chatterbait is one. A couple of key tips I'm going to show you guys today. This is just a blank, brand new rod that I took off the rack, but just want to show you guys how to hold your rod, position the rod. It's very important when you're going to rip that bait, especially if you're going to do that violent technique, or even when you're doing the normal technique where you're just letting it tick the top and you're getting it out of there. It's very important to hold the rod in a position in which you have leverage. If you're trying to keep that bait above the grass by holding your rod tip straight up, how do you rip the bait out? You can't. You have nowhere to go. You have no leverage. You have no power. It's very important to keep that rod at about a 10 o'clock angle. You don't want it down here, because when you get down here, you don't have near as much room to work either. If you have it right here, you have all the room in the world to go from here all the way to here as violently as you want to. You can even turn your body with it and get more. So that gives you a lot more leverage, whether it's the slow retrieve or the diving in the grass and ripping out. So if I'm doing the medium retrieve, just come along. As soon as I take the grass, I just give it a quick, and it snaps it out of there. If I'm doing that violent one, this gives me the opportunity, when my rod's in this position, to really allow that bait to get in that grass and rip it as hard as I want to. I can turn my whole body, get a lot of power in that rip. Very important to hold the rod at that angle. The other thing about a chatterbait is they will, on that rip, that violent rip, they will hammer it a lot of times. Go ahead, bud, go get your seat. Do we have another chair, Kev?
Yeah, right around the, get, chairs.
Oh, I need to sit on it. I need one more. Sorry about that, YouTube. We got so many people coming, we're running out of chairs. That's a beautiful thing. All right, where were we?
Ripping.
Ripping. We're ripping.
He will hit it on a rip.
We're ripping. So that's the deal. Have the leverage to get that bait up and out quick, and just make sure that you're holding that rod at an angle in which you can do that. Oh, we're talking about how they bite it. So when you rip it violently, a lot of times they will thump it, and you'll get a good chance to feel them and really set the hook on them. Don't do that. That chatterbait has a small hook. Most chatterbaits have a pretty small, pretty thin wire hook, considering. If you're doing the medium retrieve, a lot of times the way the bite goes, they just load up on it. They get it from behind, and they just slowly load up. All you want to do with a chatterbait is sweep that rod and turn that reel as fast as you can and load it up. That's how you catch a chatterbait fish. You will lose chatterbait. If you go to snatch on them, you will lose a lot of chatterbait fish. All right, let's talk a little bit more specifically about the chatterbait that I'm using. If I can remember where I put it. Put it over here. Here it is. All right. So this chatterbait is available on that front counter right there. This is a Japanese imported chatterbait that Ronnie's gotten from one of his tackle distributors from overseas. It's new. I've only been fishing it, what, 6 months now? A few months, 6 months. But I'm very, very impressed. And my first thought when I saw it was, man, that's a thin wire hook. That's not a very big hook. That was my initial thought. But what we just talked about is why I love this chatterbait, and I love the thinner hook. A thinner hook takes less pressure to penetrate a fish's mouth. Does that make sense to everybody? Mm-hmm. The thicker gauge the hook, the harder you have to drive it home, right? We know with the jig with the big hook, well, we got to get up on our toes. Crankbait with a little thin treble hook, we just reel into them, right? Same thing here. So I actually like the thinner hook on this chatterbait because it allows me to really set the hook properly and not worry about not penetrating. Because if you have a chatterbait that has a stout hook on it, you have to drill it, but yet that guy's trying to just slowly load up from behind, and then when you drill it, you rip it out. So this, to me, is the perfect hook and the perfect setup on a chatterbait. It also has just, you know, very good action. The vibration is very consistent. It's not going to roll on you or do anything crazy. It doesn't wander a whole lot. I actually like a chatterbait to just be steady Eddie. I get more bites off those than I do any other kind. So I'm in love with this new chatterbait. It's sitting on this counter. I also like the original Z-Man, and Joe Spates makes one down the road on 17. His chatterbaits are very good as well. And if you look at all three of those, you'll notice nobody can build them like the Z-Man does because they got patent and all that junk. But there's a couple things that you'll notice on all three of those that are the same. And I'll just leave it at that. Because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But yeah, they're not patent infringements, but they do have a couple things in common with the original that are major factors. So definitely check this chatterbait out up here. It's a very, very good one. All right, any questions?
Yeah, when that comes through the water, show
Yeah.
us the curve of the hook, is it towards the sky, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So as this coming through the water, it sits just like this, top hook.
So when you put your little trailer on, do you make any effort to get that correct?
No, this is exactly how we had it rigged. Now we flipped this one upside down because the back tore out, but that's exactly how we rig it, top hook style, with it sticking straight up out of the back. I do not want that covered up. Chatterbaits will hang on wood, but they are great for grass. And the reason is this blade, as it hits grass, folds and deflects most of that grass. And when it does catch a stem, it's just one little hook, and that's what allows you to rip it so well. And that's what causes your reaction bites. That's why chatterbait and grass so well together.
But you rig that on there pretty thin though, right? I mean, you don't go deep into the bait, you go right along the top of the bait so you have more hook exposed.
I try to go right down the middle. On these little ones, they're so thin anyway, I just go right down the middle. And I'll use it on one side until it gets a little torn out, I'll flip it over and use it on the other.
And that's a live magic shad, 3 inch, is that right?
This is the 3.5 inch Live Magic
3.5.
shad. The smallest Live Magic shad they made.
What colors you using this time of year?
Green pumpkin, and then he's got one other color I've been throwing a little bit. It's like a green with a little bit of brown in it. But mostly green pumpkin's been the day in, day out, everyday color right now. White every once in a while has got a bite here too, but this has by far been the better one.
What would make you decide which color to use? You just throw one?
Well, no, I actually, believe it or not, I use white when the water's more off color. Now, we've gotten a lot of rain this summer, but typically in the summer we don't get a lot of rain, so the water gets pretty darn clear, especially in these grassy areas I'm fishing. That grass filters that water. So in that situation, in clear water, my favorite color on a chatterbait in clear water is green pumpkin, no matter the time of year. I fish white earlier in the year because there's a lot of dirty water, and I like the white in dirty water. Black and blue, if it's really, really dirty, I will throw black and blue, but really white, pretty much out here, the stain we get, white gets it done. What else? No other questions. Come on now. Y'all want to ask questions tonight. I promise you, you want to ask questions. Hint, hint.
Where's your fishing spot at?
It's in the water.
Grid coordinates.
It's in Lake Fort. It's in Lake Fort.
Are you fishing it early or midday or all day?
This is an all-day deal now. It's July. Once you get to about 11 o'clock until about 4 o'clock, most days it's real tough. There are some days, and a lot of it depends on moon cycle, when they will feed at 2 o'clock. Maybe it's a wind, maybe it's a cloud cover deal, but there are days that something triggers them right in the middle of the heat of the day, so you can't ever give up on it. But, you know, there's nothing wrong if you wanted to do a little bit of deep and a little bit of shallow, hitting this till about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, go hit deep structure till 2 or 3, and then go back and check them shallow fish one more time before you leave for the day, or however you want to do it. You know, there's nothing wrong with that either. So we kind of did that today. Of course, we didn't catch anything out deep because that's not what I do.
Hey, do you have an opinion on that, Evergreen Jackhammer by Z-Man?
Yep, I've been in the boat with it. I've thrown it. It's overrated. That's my opinion. It is, they took the original Z-Man and they changed it too much. The original Z-Man was perfect with the exception of the fact, I'm going to tell you guys, the original Z-Man is the perfect chatterbait. It's the best chatterbait with one exception. It's junk and it falls apart, which is a big exception. It's a huge exception, right? So but what they did on the Evergreen is they just tried to change too much. They extended the blade away from the head. They changed a lot of different things. They did get better components in it. It won't fall apart, but it completely changed the bait and I don't like it. I don't have confidence in it. And the couple days that I've been in the boat with it, the original outfished it. So. Is there any more questions online there, Kev?
That was it.
That was the only one? Okay. Anybody else got any more questions? 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 I see
They
you
was talking about when a bite's getting tough, you downsize. Could you just take the minnow off, or just fish it, just
I would never
make it,
fish.
make it a smaller profile bait?
So it's pretty small, as you can see where the skirt, the end of the skirt is. I'm only hanging down maybe an inch below that, right? I would never take the trailer completely off. I always want something back there kicking. I feel like it looks more.
The action of it.
Yeah, I think it adds action to it. I think it looks more like a swimming critter of some sorts with something kicking behind it like that, because there's nothing in that water that doesn't have something behind it kicking. Whether it's a turtle or a fish or a snake, the back end of it's kicking on every one of them. So I want something back there to move. And, you know, we talk about how this is the best trailer for a chatterbait, but we never really talk about why. Let me try to explain why in the best way I can, because it's hard to kind of comprehend. It's hard to articulate this into words. But with these swim slots, the vibration of that chatterbait is very tight. You've all felt that chatterbait vibration. It's a very fast, tight vibration. With these swim slots, this is the only bait that will move and shake at the exact same speed as that chatterbait. That tail is doing that exact same rhythm that that blade's doing. With a paddle tail going like this, it's contradicting this. And there's a lot of paddle tails that won't kick right on a chatterbait. They'll kick and they'll stop. And they'll kick and they'll stop. And they'll foul up on you. This is the only bait that moves at the exact same speed with the exact same rhythm as the blade on the head does. That's why it's so perfect. It just is a one-piece deal. It looks natural. It's all moving together. Tight vibration. It's a rattle trap that looks completely different from a rattle trap is what it is.
Well, another way to downsize, you could just take the skirt off of it.
Absolutely. Very good point. Yeah, if you really wanted to downsize, you take your skirt off, put your Live Magic shell on there, and you get a thinner profile along with a shorter one.
When the skirts wear out, we don't ever throw the chatterbait away. And then we'll just throw it with just the fish and the chatterbait in.
Yep. Very good point. Very good point. Any more questions?
You want to shorten the profile, you can trim the skirt itself a little bit?
Yeah, you can. I typically don't on a chatterbait because that skirt just works so well with it because it shimmies the same way. And as long as I can see that tail, when I drag it through the water around the boat, if I can still see the end of that tail moving, I'm good with it. Now, if I've got such a short trailer and such a long skirt that I can't really see that tail, I will trim my skirt absolutely. But as long as I can see a little bit of tail sticking out and kicking, that's all I need.
Do you make any adjustments to the bait, the chatterbait that's right out of the box to start off?
This one right here is right out of the box. This is that one that Ronnie's selling up here from Japan. It's right out of the box. In fact, all the ones that I fish are right out of the box. The Z-Man Original's right out of the box. It's going to break at some point, sometimes on the first fish. The Joe Spates, everybody know who Joe Spates is? Weedless Lures. Down there, Highway 17 at the Little Mustang Bridge, little tackle shop called Weedless Lures. He's actually the guy that invented the flutter spoon, and he came up with a pretty unique chatterbait deal. He's got a couple little tweaks on his, so check that one out too. But yeah, his is just the way he makes it, it's the way I fish it.
People don't talk about drop shots very much, and we've been going out throwing all the stuff that you're teaching us here, and we often revert back to drop shots.
Sure.
Or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you all use a lot of drop shots?
For me, in the style that I fish, I don't.
Because
You
you're
know,
shallow,
yeah, I'm shallow and I'm in that grass, and man, drop shot just doesn't work unless you're going to like some big Bubba shot where you're punching grass with it, which I don't do. I don't believe in. I'd rather just punch with a regular punching rig. But drop shot probably catch more numbers than summertime anything else. I mean, it does catch them. I'm just not that well versed in it. I can give you the basics. I can tell you how I fish it, but there are other guys that are more qualified to teach it. So I try not to speak on it. You know, I know the basics of it, but I'm no expert. You know, by any means. Let me touch on that for a second. I'm no expert at any of this. I'm learning just like you guys are. I just have learned a few things that I like to share. That's all it is, man. I'm nobody special. You know, I do it every day, so I know a little bit about what's going on with the lake. But I was the weekend guy in a plastic boat, then a 17-foot boat. You know, I did the same. You know, I was the same guy and just loved it and did it every chance I got. And I've been lucky enough to get where I am now. So I'm trying to help you and share what I know, but it's by no means to sit up here and tell you, hey, look, do it like this. This is the only way. There's a million ways to do it.
Right. Would you fish those at night too? I mean, would it be just as effective?
I would fish a chatterbait at night, absolutely. Absolutely. I would not fish this chatterbait at night. At nighttime, I want everything to get bigger and louder, more vibration and all that. So I would actually go to some of those super big chatterbaits. the 3/4 ounces with the big oversized blades on them. Y'all seen some of those? Joe Spades makes some of those as well. He's actually the first guy that made those. The big oversized 3/4 ounce, 1 ounce. I like the 3/4 ounce size. Put it in a black and blue, black and anything really, and put the big Live Magic shad. What size? You got 4.5 inch, then what? 5.5, Kev?
3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6 and 8.
Yeah. So 5.5 would be the one that I would look for on that 3/4 ounce chatterbait. Not the next size up from this, but one more size, 5.5.
Not, that's the 4.5. No, wait, 4.5 is next, and then the 6 inch.
4.5 and then 6, so 6 inch. Okay.
That's a big one.
My apologies. Yeah, it's a big
I say
bait.
just go big.
Yeah, but at nighttime I do. I like to go big on all my baits. I throw a 10-inch worm. I throw a giant spinnerbait with a huge one big giant Colorado blade with a thin wire to vibrate a lot. That's my spinnerbait at night. On buzz baits, I like to get the biggest blade on it I can find. Sometimes 2 blades. Those are kind of all my nighttime baits. Pretty standard stuff. You know, it's not no secrets there. I don't do a lot of night fishing. I'm fortunate enough right now I'm staying booked during the daytimes a lot. I haven't even taken a night fishing trip this year because I've been working every day. So been fortunate enough that I've been booking the morning trips. But yeah, when I have fished nighttime in the past, and I used to fish night tournaments, I definitely, even when I was fishing tournaments trying to catch 16-inch unders at night, I would throw big baits. I just feel like they can find them better at night when the bait's bigger. And on those lights deal, on that light deal, what Justin says is absolutely correct. You do not, now, I will add one thing to it. When the lights first come on, I mean, if you're in there right as the lights come on, for the first 20 minutes or so, you can catch them right on the light. But once you start seeing the catfish and the gar swim over the top of that light, it's time to get outside. Yeah. Because for the first about 20 minutes or so, there won't be any catfish and gar on those lights, and those bass jump on them like that. And you can see them, visibly see the bass swimming across them. But once some catfish and gar show up, yeah, you want to get to the outside edge I usually say about 10 feet. Try to stay within about 10 feet of the edge. And flip and bang off of every piece of wood around that dark around that light as you can.
They automatic?
Yep, they're on timers. Long Branch is another good area that has some. Birch Creek has got some. Just north of the bridge on the left, there's a couple guys that have them. There's even one that's actually kind of a really interesting one that I never did fish, but I drove by it many times. There's always somebody fishing it. It's actually just north of SRA Point. There's one dock on the main lake. It's just one dock. One lonely dock on the main lake out there just north of SRA Point. There's a light. It's pretty far out front. It's in pretty deep water. And it's actually 2 lights, 2 big lights. That's an interesting one that I never got to fish. Maybe some of you guys can.
I want to go over there.
She wants to go over
Go like this.
I take my wife to those lights, and I just probably fall down and sit down because she ain't leaving. She can see the fish.
She can see them. She's going to stay there until she catches them. That's right. It's kind of like sight fishing when you got a big one, boy. It's hard to leave.
Yeah, I just sit down and let her go for a couple hours.
That's right. All right. Any more questions? No? Hey, one more thing that I forgot to mention earlier. Ronnie is going to be getting some new foul weather gear in pretty soon. It's going to be very similar to some of the Sims stuff, but it's going to be a lot lower priced. And that should be coming in sometime in the next week or 2. So by the next seminar, it should be here. So if you need rain gear, hold on to your dollars and check this out, because it's a lot like them limit rods. It'll be the best bang for your buck that you can get on rain gear. I promise you that. It's going to be really impressive stuff for a really fair price. So be ready for that. We got something to give away tonight. I tore the package up because you guys wanted to see it. But this was going to be for the best question, but I'm going to give it to the guy that asked the most questions and kept hammering them because I like that. So here you go, brother. Here's your buzz bait. That's for you.
I just bought that one too.
He just bought it. And one more thing, we got a package. We got a package of 4 Hayabusa worm hooks. These are Japanese imported hooks. These are Teflon coated. Some of the best hooks you can find on the market. This young man went out with me this morning. He absolutely crushed me and his dad this morning. He's a little hammer in the making. There you go, buddy. Thanks for coming out. All right, guys. Go ahead, sir. That's it for me. Hey, I really appreciate y'all coming. Thank y'all for doing this. Trying to build this community of just helping each other catch more fish. That's what it's all about. I really appreciate y'all's participation. Thank you. If any more questions you have, be sure to ask them 2 weeks from today. Mr. Ronnie's got something to go.
Hey, thank you again. We've had another excellent turnout, and older men like me like to give stuff away. It's just part of life. As you get older, you like to make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated. And I'm going to share. I'm going to share some more things tonight. One of them is extremely unique. But first, I'm going to ask you: do we have any Carolina riggers here? Somebody here must Carolina rigging. Anybody?
Learning.
You're learning. Okay, that's a good answer. Well, I'm a young 67, you know, but I've been fishing since I was about 8 years old. So I'm starting to hit around that 60-year fishing mark. But I don't speak usually in these meetings because you come here and you don't pay because I don't want you to pay, but you get a free seminar from guys who fish for a living almost every day, and you don't need to hear me speak. But sometimes I like to take a little bit of a personal privilege and to share a little bit of what I know, and more importantly, to give away stuff. So I'm going to give away my favorite Carolina rigging. Well, I have two favorite Carolina rigging lures. They're both LFT lures, as you might expect, but one of them is a baby creature. And the reason I like it so much is because it has those appendages, those legs, and it moves all around. You know, use a 2 or a 3/0 offset worm hook, and it's just an outstanding lure. And since I don't know who asked the most questions, the best questions, and I think one thing has already been given for the most, but we've got a number of you that are every week participants, and I really appreciate that. We've also got some youth here, and we've got a couple of newcomers who are customers of mine and good people, and they're about to add another customer of mine in October to the families. But I'm going to give this package of baby creatures to the good doctor, because he's been here every week.
All right, thank you.
That's a baby creature,
Thank you very much.
and I hope you really enjoy that.
Sure.
And if you have any doubts or any questions about how to use them or whatever, ask any of these guys or me. And I also want to introduce, although behind the scenes, although he's welcome to come in front of the camera, my good friend and right-hand man. I'm gonna promote him tonight to executive producer, because he's here every week for these seminars, making sure that all the right questions get asked and make sure that the live streaming goes as planned. And I'm also going to share with you briefly that it is amazingly comforting to me to know how many of my friends from Indiana, Ohio, Missouri, Arkansas are tuning in either live or they're watching them after the fact. And that's very gratifying to me to see that people really want to hear Billy and Justin and Michael McFarland, who's going to be here in 2 weeks. I think he's going to try again to talk about electronics training. And we'll have Slade Dougherty to come in and talk about electronics. He charges a lot of, not a lot of money, but a reasonable amount of money to train people. He's out with a friend of mine right now as we speak. So we're going to have new things coming. And Billy doesn't know this, but I'm going to share it for the first time. I've had 2 other very experienced guides on this lake whom I go to church with that are really awesome people who have asked me, hey, is there any way you could let me speak up here one of these Friday night sessions? So the fact that guides want to come in and speak with this group and to share their knowledge, and I wouldn't bring in anybody. We have a lot of good guides on this lake, and I wouldn't disrespect any of them. But to have guys who want to come here and speak and share their knowledge broadens the information loop and gives you a chance to ask more questions of more people. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I hope you'll keep coming. I know you will. And Kevin helps us get questions off of the live streaming audience. And again, we appreciate it. Got one more gift that's very unusual. And I'm gonna drop on some knowledge here. Has anybody ever heard of a devil horse? I'll give you hints. The topwater bait.
I bet these 2 have.
Okay, we got 2 people who do.
Oh, maybe 3. 4?
Do you know what a devil horse is?
I know.
Okay.
I'm just going by the gray hair.
Okay.
Or no hair.
I win the gray hair contest tonight. A devil horse is what I'm going to call it's a topwater lure. The original ones were either made by, as best I can remember, either Smithwick or maybe Hedden, but they were not Boss, so they were a hardwood. But they were what I'm going to call a pencil popper. They had props on both ends, and they're strictly topwater. but they were really, really a good topwater lure. Well, I've got a newer version. It just came in yesterday. It's balsa. It's an expensive lure, but I'm going to give one away. And they're balsa, handmade by this gentleman up in Indiana who makes the plopper P, because no one's seen these that I know of around here. And it's a replication of an old, this is called Okeechobee Brim. It is an awesome color of an awesome lure, and it's easy to fish. It's just it's a zip bait or a topwater bait. Billy hadn't even seen it. Maybe he has. I'm going to give away an old Devil Force knockoff tonight, and I'm going to give it to another person.
To me?
No.
No.
My executive producer wants it, but I think I can get him another source. But we've had another gentleman who's been here several times, and I'm going to present this to him, and I want him to fish in good health for a long time. And if I give you something of this value, I'm going to ask another favor. I'm going to ask you at a coming seminar that if you have any success stories, just to share it with the group. How's that for a deal? And we're going to keep giving away stuff, so if you keep coming, your chances of getting something increase dramatically. Does that make sense? So my friend back there with the sunglasses on your hat, I'm giving that to you. I hope you enjoy. And
yeah, once you told me about the spinners, I remember using this back in the 70s.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. That was before I was born, but no, I'm just kidding. No.
Thank you, Ron.
You're very, very welcome, and that's a very unique bait. I kid you not. I just got those in yesterday.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's good. They'll pop that thing early and late. Okay. Any more questions of Billy or Justin or the executive producer Kevin Sharp? Okay. Well, tonight we kept it at about an hour. We're trying to keep it succinct and yet meaningful to you. The fact that Michael got a last-minute guide trip and couldn't come has shortened us by a half hour to 45 minutes. But I hope that's still okay with you, because we want to use your time in a very professional way that gets you information without wasting your time. Any more questions? Okay, thank you, Billy. Thank you, Justin, and thank all of you. And we'll see you 2 weeks from tonight.
Thanks,
Okay.
Ronnie, for hosting. Appreciate it, Ronnie.
Thank you, sir, too, for coming. Thank you.
Where we catch up with you next Sunday, I think